No, it's not. It's Thursday, folks. It's time for another episode of Comic Conversation. Here we are on the fun side of Wednesday. We're Friday Eve, heading up to the weekend. We get to talk about some books. I think most of us got books yesterday, which was New Comic Book Wednesday, New Comic Wednesday. So great stuff to talk about in that regard. But also we have a lot of news to talk about tonight. It's been a couple weeks since we've done a show, so we have some things that have come up. Some rumors, some things with the MCU or Marvel properties, same with DC. A lot of news as well with comic books as well. Specifically, one book from yesterday, and a little bit of blowback on some of the policies that our House of Ideas has that aren't such great ideas. But before we do that, a couple of shout outs, then we're going to get into a little bit of catch up. I have Edwin here as well as Chris. Nice to see you guys back on the panel. It's cool to see you guys again. It's been a while, right?
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that in a second, but a couple of shout outs we have in the chat already going. It's pretty busy. Jason Smith is with us. Philly Superman, Gomez Comic Collector, Brian Spaceboy 227 is here as well. NLC _ Productions. I see you too, and I saw Comically Flawed before going off on the lenticulars, which we're going to get into in a little bit. He was ranting to folks in the chat there. So yeah, if you guys have any comments, any questions, anything, feel free to put it in there. Don't be shy. We'll say it out loud. So let's get into some updates. But first, I want to start with Edwin. If you don't know, Edwin is in the Lone Star State, the great state of Texas. Just let us know a couple updates with you, and most importantly, that you're doing all right, man.
Yeah, well, I'm actually doing very well. I'm kind of northwest Houston, downtown really got hit the hardest, and of course the surrounding low-level areas. But I'm good, guys. My wife has actually already kind of got the jump on me, and she's already been volunteering because she works for the county, and they're off because of obvious reasons until the beginning of the month, and she's already started volunteering. She's on a responder type of website that checks with this database of people to see if they're safe and stuff like that. I'm going to be going this weekend and helping people with small churches and basically just donating water. A lot of them need baby diapers, baby supplies, stuff like that. We've had friends that have one friend, the water was at her doorstep for 6 hours, and then it finally just started coming through her bathroom. And then by the end of the night, she had what did I actually have, about a foot of water in her house? Yeah, about a foot of water in her house when it was all said and done. And then they finally came and picked her up, and she had a 3-month-old. So it was really, really bad. But most people are safe, and I really don't know what else to say. It's a little overwhelming. But one of the things that I did want to mention is that even though everybody's fine, even our comic shops, a lot of stuff that y'all got already, they're talking about we're not going to get our books till next week. So new books for this week, we're going to get with the new books for next week. So
okay. I didn't even think of that. I saw your video. If you guys haven't seen his video doing Hurricane Harvey update, he kind of gave a tour of the town, some of the flooding, a couple of the comic shops that were above water, thankfully. But yeah, I didn't even think of that. The distribution to actually get the books there, that's going to be delayed. So that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I actually have packages I got to get out for my auction, and I've dropped off packages. I've seen people at the post office today, but there's not a lot of movement. I actually ordered something off eBay, and it's actually stuck in Dallas right now until postal workers can get around and do their thing. But yeah, it's really, really bad.
That probably affects a lot of the country as well. I mean, I know the DFW area is a pretty big hub for, transportation, flights and stuff, so it definitely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think flights have been delayed as well. But a big shout out to everybody, because I got a lot of people commenting and, letting us know that their prayers and their thoughts are out towards us. I'm not even gonna start naming names because there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
You
I
know
when
who you
start
are.
naming names, it's suddenly like you don't want to forget anybody, and you go down that.
Why didn't you name me?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So, but no, shout out to everybody. Like, it means a lot. I appreciate it. One thing I do want to say is that if there's anything that you can do to donate money or clothing or food, please do it, because there's a lot of people that are in need here, and there's actually a lot of people, a lot of celebrities and stuff are kind of coming through already. Not to put any celebrities' names out there or anything, but a lot of them have donated significant amount of money. But every little bit helps. Just make sure that the charity or organization that you're donated to is very reputable. And like no Clinton Foundation or anything like that. But we'll get into that later. But anyways.
I do have a pretty good list of some reputable charities. I don't want to name them offhand, but if anybody wants to reach out to me offline with some ideas on who to donate to, I'd be happy to provide that list to you. So feel free to email me, messages, whatever. I'll send you that list.
Yeah.
But all right, cool. I'm glad you're doing well, man.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Chris, how you doing, buddy?
Not bad. Just working, things like that.
Daddy duties still?
Huh?
Daddy duties?
Yeah. From time to time, when it comes to, my wife handles a lot of stuff, and like we split it back and forth. So it's just like one of those deals where sometimes you gotta put in a little extra work here and there. It's just like, I understand. Everybody needs a little bit of a break, but, daddy duties, playing with the baby and everything like that, and then just, working and everything. But, I didn't get out to, I have to do a video. I haven't had a chance to get on and do it. I didn't do a traditional haul. I kind of got, so there was a local shop up in my area that sent out an email, and it was very misleading. It just basically seemed as though they were just like, we bought this huge collection. They titled it, said Silver and Bronze Age comic books, 50-cent comic books. So I'm like, Silver and Bronze Age comic books for 50 cents. Yeah. I was like, hell yeah, let's go. So I went up there, and this guy asked before I got a chance. He's like, so where's the Silver and Bronze Age 50-cent books? And the guy's like, what? I don't think we didn't say anything about that. I was like, oh, the email says it just like that. He's like, no, that's not what it meant. I'm like, are you okay? So then, like, he started showing me. He's like, no, what we meant was we got Silver and Bronze Age books, and we put them back in that area. We restocked that, and then we restocked that 50-cent books. So we have a bunch more of those to go. And I was like,
classic bait and switch,
right?
Exactly. I was like, I came all the way out. It's funny too, because like, maybe like an hour after I was there, they were just like, just to clarify, we didn't mean that. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, but you know what, though? I made it work, though. I made it work because I was like,
they got you in the store, though.
No, I was already there, and I was like, you know what? I had, I was just looking at it where it's just like, I wasn't spending any more than $20. Like, I was just like, I'm getting 50-cent books. So I did. And I actually spent less than $20, but I got a good stack of books, and I was like, I'll make it work to my advantage. We'll see. So I got to go ahead and show some of those and everything, but it's just kind of been tough just because Boston Comic-Con happened, and I got a bunch of stuff there, and then I didn't do a haul that week. I was like, and then I ended up getting one of my top 10 books that I put up a video for and everything, and so for now I'm just kind of just easing back into it. I mean, it's a good thing that it was a 5-week month last month, so it's just like, this month, how are we going to look at it? So it's just like, kind of got that break in between. So it's like, all right, good. Kind of slow things down a little bit, because Boston Comic-Con, I didn't spend tons of money at all, but it's just like, just being in the situation and everything like that, it was, it took a little bit of a toll on my finances a little bit. So I'm just like, let's kind of pump the brakes, get things back to an even keel, and then go from there. So
Chris is taking donations to recoup from his Boston Comic-Con.
No, honestly,
you guys wanted that list of donations.
What's funny is Boston Comic-Con comes now. See, it used to be in April, and now it's in August. And so my wife's birthday is right before, and I'm like, oh. So it's just a big like I mean, I can never get away from it. It's just a big spending week/weekend, and it's just like, so it's just one of those things where it's just That, and there's not a lot of new stuff coming out that I'm like super excited about. So I'm just kind of like, just kind of pumped. I think I have to reassess my pull list a little bit just because, and we'll get into some of the reason why going forward later on in the show. But it's just like, it's just one of those things where, I think in certain cases, some of the writing's on the wall, and it's kind of just like, all right, you got to reassess your collecting and figure out what it is that you really want versus, what's coming out and how things are going. But, later on down the show, we'll figure, you let me know when we get to that point, and I'll let you know my opinion and feelings.
Okay, absolutely. Well, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about a little bit with, I know Edwin probably didn't read it. Did you pick up your books, or were you able to read Secret Empire 10?
No, I wasn't, but you know what? It's funny that it was spoiled for me kind of just by like the headline. So I assume I know the ending, but I haven't read anything with it. So, I don't know anything about that book specifically. I just know what I think is the big major like resolve of everything.
Yeah. I'm not going to spoil it then. And because it's the day after, so give people a chance to read it. But we'll talk about that for a second. Then we'll get into the Marvel, like the cinematic stuff, or DC, and then the Marvel, and then we'll come back to like some books and stuff. And at that point, feel free to jump into what you were talking about. But if there's something you've read recently that you want to kind of like review or talk about, that'll be the good spot for it. But I did break out Secret Wars 10 separately because it kind of plays into the whole overall story that's going on. So Secret Empires 10 obviously came out yesterday. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it either. I think there's a way to switch back to the previous look. I think I saw a button for that. So, and King of the Golden State makes really good chicken nuggets. Just want to put that out there.
Good skill. You gotta have that. Gotta have it.
That's right.
Gotta have it, chicken nuggets.
That's right. So for the longest time, with Secret Empire, obviously the big controversy with it, with Cap being, turned Hydra and everything. And then you had people like Axel Alonso saying his big sale on it wasn't, a big old catch or like something with the story or something amazing. He was like, just wait and see. Just wait, guys. Be patient with us, right?
He was begging. He was begging for us to give him a chance.
Exactly.
Just give it a chance. Don't judge yet. Just give it.
Let the story play out. Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he was like, the whole thing leading up to it was the Kobik, right? The sentient cosmic cube.
Yeah.
And he's like, no. That's not going to be any part of the story. Don't worry. That's like the easy way out. That's not going to be it. I'm not going to give it anything away. However, you're not going to be surprised. I'll just say that. Very disappointing. And this was supposed to be sort of the end of this period and kind of like a lead into like Legacy and everything. It was between this and I guess with Generations too, which it ties into as well because the big thing with Generations was the vanishing point, and it didn't really make sense. Like, what the hell is that? Why is Banner Hulk meeting Cho? Like, what, for example. And because of all the delays, this Generations was supposed to come out right after Secret Empire, for it to make sense. So it was more of a kind of linear story that way, but it ended up overlapping, so where now it didn't make sense. But because of all this mess and stuff, it's not really anything anybody is excited for. Not a lot of people were like particularly excited for it, but even less so now, seeing the end of this, it's like, well, okay, want. Like, they didn't stick the landing on it. Mm-hmm. And then on top of all that, they added issues and stuff. So there were some delays there. That's what I mean by that. The runtime on it was longer, I guess. But I was replying to Jackio. But then there's the whole lenticular program, the ordering program that Marvel has for all of the upcoming books. And it is, for lack of a better word, ridiculous. Some of the ordering requirements, the qualifiers to unlock the lenticular covers, you have to order anywhere from 125% to, I think it's 200% is the maximum of whatever the cover A is, what you would normally order. So a lot of shops, and last time I checked, there was about 71 shops. There's even shops in Canada, shops in Europe, like Ireland was one country that I read about, where they're like, nope, we're not We're not ordering any of these damn things. We're just not ordering any of them. You guys got to go somewhere else for it. So there's a lot of blowback on Marvel for that.
Wow.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where now I think because they're talking money to Marvel, right? That they're gonna finally start listening. So it kind of sucks right now, but it may be sort of a changing moment. Down the road that they'll start listening. Now, I don't know if it's the smartest idea for some of the shops to do this, because some of these are pretty easy bets to make money off of, quite frankly. Like, you know, the Deadpools are going to sell, and, you know, things like that, like your Pillar books. You know, so maybe ordering those would have made sense instead of ordering 0 of them, because you're still making a little bit of money instead of saying, hey, go to website X and order them. You know what I mean? So I just I know I threw a lot out there, but what are your thoughts on that whole?
Well, you know what? It's funny because that's what I was actually getting at, where it's just like, you know, there's, what they say, 29 Lenticular covers that they're going to be doing. It's just like, I mean, just on its own, that's crazy. And then to kind of strong on the shops and be like, listen, you got to go ahead and overbuy in order to get these specific books. It's stupid. It's just like, you know, everything that they seem to, you know, rail against, as far as CGC, as far as, you know, people flipping books and autographs, all the rest of that crap, they're playing right into it. It's just like, if you have to sell, because I mean, I don't think the Lentaculars are probably not going to sell for cover price, being that the shops have to go ahead and, you know, spend so much more to get them. And it's just like, you know, and the fact that there's 29 of them, that's I think it's 29, right? Or am I overshooting it?
I don't know the number. I don't want to say yes or no.
I want to say it was something like 29, because they were just like, they, I think, saw that, what was it, Convergence did it, and then they brought a couple back this time around. So like, we're going to really do it up and have a ton of covers like that. It's going to be like just Lentacular everywhere. And it's just like, you know, it's ridiculous. Like, no one's gonna. I mean, so obviously some of them aren't gonna be the titles that you're gonna buy, but it's just like, even still, it's just like that. Let's say there's anywhere from like 10 to 15 that you normally would buy. That, you know, you'd be like, okay, these are the Pillar books. These are the ones I want to have. These look really cool. You know, any different number of excuses. It's just like, that's so much money and such a waste for a book that most likely you read the first one because of the cover, and then the rest you're gonna just drop off, and you're not gonna, you know, that's what I say. Like, I think now we're kind of getting to a point where we have to kind of, you know, I guess curb the appeal of being like, oh well, you know, this is really fun, and this is you know, nice, and really, you know, let our money do the talking. I'm glad that some of the shops are standing up to Marvel and saying, look, we're not doing this. This is ridiculous. Like, you're not gonna gouge us to make, you know, to sit there and put those little things out there, those little extra, you know, covers. It really is just like, it really is, I think, to the point where Marvel's out of control with it.
Absolutely.
There's no other nice way to say it. Like, they're out of control.
Yeah, they are.
And this is Marvel. I mean, DC has lenticulars. We're getting some coming up for Oz Effect, right? Yeah. But it's pretty straightforward ordering program. So this blowback and this, you know, we've been saying it for a while, but finally the shops are saying it, is specifically for Marvel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And it's just like, you know, it's their way of trying to be like, oh, well, we're going to do this and we're the biggest. Like, I don't think that they realize that even though they might be a big name, and yes, the movies are succeeding, and, you know, there's a lot of hot properties in Marvel, absolutely. But it's just like, you got to understand though too, it's just like, you know, the thing that brought you to the dance, the thing that got you the movie deals and the video games and the TV shows, you got to keep that viable. You got to keep that, you know, something that people are interested in, something that people want to go ahead and continue with. And if you're going to just sit there and just, you know, not only stick it to the fans, but now the shop owners, I mean, it's just like, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Just kind of, you know, put out good books. That's all I'm asking. Just put out good stuff. You don't have to have tons of titles. Just put out some solid stuff that will make you, you know, something that will make people interested in it. Because, you know, I had a feeling going into Secret Empire that it was gonna, when they were saying like, oh, it's gonna be the last big crossover event. Like we're not gonna do any more events for a long time. Like, this is it. you know, I had a feeling it was going to disappoint because they tried to throw too much into it. And then when they announced Legacy, I was like, oh, wow. And then the more you heard about it, the more I knew they were going to really just try to force this on everybody and try to make it like the, you know, the biggest thing that they possibly could and just make it a big cash grab. So, you know, I know for me, you know, I'm not going to be dumping as much money as, you know, they would hope that I would into something like this. Like I may get a few core characters, Lentaculars, if I can find them. If I can't, whatever. But if the stories suck, I'm dropping them right away. I'm not wasting my time, you know, attaching my loyalty to something that really, honestly, is just a waste of money at this point.
You know, one of the things I was thinking about is, do you think Marvel's ego is just ginormous right now? Because they can just feel like they can just put out whatever they want whenever they want, and people are just going to jump at it. That's just kind of what I get from all this.
I don't know if it's necessarily. I think they have the wrong people running the show. That's just obvious at this point. It's just like, look, you got the wrong guys making the decisions. I don't even think it's really even creators making the decisions anymore. I think it's corporate people saying like, this is what we want to have done. And I'm not even saying that there's Disney. I think that they have just people that are in there to try to make money, and so they got people that are, you know, into the whole, you know,
just purely business-minded individuals.
Exactly. So purely business-minded people that don't have any like love or even care about the actual books that they you know, are producing, and that's what the problem comes from. You know.
Well, the biggest complaints I've had in recent years is their paper quality on the cover is the same as the interior page. I can go on and on with them removing the fan letters from the back, reducing comics from 22 to 24 pages down to 20, and in some cases 19. So I just ask because I think it's so obvious when you've done this trend of doing things for so many, not so many, but at least over the past 4 or 5 years, and all of a sudden you put out a lenticular cover when you've never even cared about doing any kind of holofoil, lenticular cover, whatever. It just seems to me like, I don't know. I just get ego comes to mind, but I also think I also think you're right as well, Chris. Like you just have people that are trying to jumpstart this you know, these new fans or fans trying to be revived or reignited into Marvel again when so many of them have, I don't know if I'd say left, but I think a lot of them have not bought Marvel books. So that's just why ego, I don't know, ego just really just comes to mind.
Oh, you're right. I agree. I think that I think that there's a lot of that in there, and I think that, you know, really that
like homofoil. I'm sorry.
Like
Tim, you're a distraction, man. Go on somewhere, man.
He's cracking me up over here.
When they you have actually brought up something that I think potentially might be part of their shtick with trying to get these lentaculars and all these little gimmicks, and it's just like to entice new people into the books. But you know, I don't see newer fans doing, you know, kind of falling into that trap like the you know, like people did in the 90s, where it's just like, you know, when I was like younger, like I mean, you knew the history of the, even if you, it's different, I guess. Like for me, being young and being that age and being into comics, it was just like I knew the history of some of the characters. So it was like, you know, when I saw an X-Men cover that had all that crazy, like, you know, holograms and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, I want to get this because I know who Wolverine and all them are. Like, I want to read this. This is cool. If you got somebody that just watched a movie, like, oh, I just saw Guardians of the Galaxy 2, like, let me go ahead and pick up, oh, the nice shiny cover or something. Like, they don't care. It's not the same thing. Because they know the history of a character by 2 movies. They don't know the history of the character, like, throughout the entire, you know, not even throughout the entire, like, history of the book, but just, like, they don't know them through the actual comic itself. And that's where you're going to end up finding people that, you know, these gimmicks get lost on. And it's just like, you lose your core readers, and then you lose the new readers that you hope would jump over and you know, start bringing in some money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Do you guys know what your shops are doing, like your local area? Because we've talked about, you know, the country or like the big box stores, you know, being able to still wear them, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
But what is your shop doing, your local comic shop?
I really don't know. Like, I mean, I'm sure the one I normally go to on Wednesdays most likely will buy in. They will do it, just because, I mean, they're into that type of stuff. But I mean, I almost would like to suggest to them not to. So like, don't waste your time and money into that one, just because it's just like,
Yeah.
you know, to find out that like I mean, and this is another thing too, because they deal in back issues as well. So it's just like money that you tied up into getting these new issues that you could have went out and bought a collection for and just, you know, restock some pretty good back issues. That's where you have to kind of draw the line, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know either. I get the privilege really to look at our shop's invoice for what they order each week, and but I don't have anything to do with the week to week procedures as far as what they get each month. As a matter of fact, I think that if I'm not mistaken, don't comic shops have to order 3 months in advance?
Probably.
For books that it's pretty far out that you need to order for books. Like, you're not going to order a book.
The $5 cutoff. That's a few months ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
yeah. Let me do a couple of shout outs here. There's some good comments in the chat, so I want to acknowledge a few of these. Lord Tatman, he says, I just can't bring myself to buy a hologram cover or lenticular covers, he says. King of the Golden State said 90s are back. Can't wait till 15 years later when peeps try to sell them. That's so true. It's all a cycle, right? It's all the circle of life. Is that a Christmas pine tree? No, it is just a palm tree with lights on it. Christmas in July, man. You never heard of it. Right. And then we have, let's see, we have Lords of the Long Box also said, I'm waiting for a pop-up cover, like the old school kids books. And then they're talking about like the difference between the DC and the Marvel foil covers. We kind of touched on that. It's not the covers themselves, because I think ultimately people, not everybody, but people do like them, you know, especially 90s people. But it's that the qualifiers and the complications around it that puts a bad taste in people's mouths. And, you know, that's how I see it anyway. So,
I mean, no one's going to deny that they're fun-looking covers. Like I would say that Flash cover, the one that that was, I guess, a Golden Age throwback cover, was incredible. I was like, oh, this is really cool. I like this idea. So I got that because, I mean, it was still cover price. It was not a problem to pick it up, but it was just like, you know, it's just funny that, you know, I find myself siding with the shops and just being like, dude, there's no reason to pay this kind of money. Yeah. Like it just doesn't make any sense. It's just too, it's just too much of a cash grab for the, you know, for the distributors and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But don't you think that, and just real quick, don't you think that shops are trying to learn a little bit from all of the DC lenticular covers that sat on the shelves from Convergence and
what was the other one?
Events?
Future's End, was it?
Future's End, yeah. I still see those in the dollar bin, man.
Exactly, and the even the ones with the villains on it, like the 23 point whatever from New 52. I see those in the dollar bin too, quite a bit.
Oh yeah. I mean, those litter some of the dollar bins at some of the bigger chains, because they went ahead and they bought a ton of them, and, you know, no sooner was that event over did they hit the 50% off, then, you know, dollar, then, you know, I think at one point they were even like 50 cents. So just like, you know, it's just, you know, I guess in the terms of that, you know, you had to order it out a while in advance and all the rest of it, but I think, you know, a lot of that too comes down to like maybe initially in that first go around with those lentaculars, people were trying to get those, you know, stores were trying to get the variants and everything that were kind of the you know, the chase type stuff that you wanted to get, and so you went out and bought a lot of those. But I mean, I would hope that they're gonna get wiser about it, just because, I mean, it really is, you know, like you were saying, you know, the 90s all over again, and it's just like, you got to think of the print runs on those too. Like the print run's going to be ridiculous if it's, you know, if they're telling you got to buy, you know, 200% of your goal, 200% of what you would normally buy in order to get this lentacular. So,
well, you know, some shops, just smaller shops that don't order a whole lot. So 200% could be just a couple more books. You know what I mean? I mean, they may sit on the shelf, but it may be not the, you know, 200% in my mind when I first think of it. It's like, oh shit, that's a lot of books, but it may just be a couple depending on, the size of the shop and their ordering habits.
Yeah, I can see that too.
So,
but I go with the initial thought too. It's just a lot of books. It's more books than you would normally go with, and it's extra money that I think you don't need to spend. So
yeah, the other thing I hear some shops are doing is saying, okay, if you want the lenticular cover, you have to buy as a package or a combo. So you have to buy the 2 books, one the cover A and the lenticular. That's a way to move some of them, but different strategies there. But hopefully, because of this blowback, they'll start changing everything. Not everything, but we'll start to see that ball move back in our favor, let's say. So let's move on to some of the news here. We have the DC movie news. First up is that David F. Sandberg posted a picture on Instagram basically teasing that pre-production for the SHAZAM movie has begun, and it will start shooting in May of 2018. That's been in production or pre-production or development actually for quite some time. Years we've been talking about it, right? I think I first was hearing about the movie. I think it was like 2015 when I started tracking down some of the SHAZAM keys because of that. Finally, here years later, we're saying pre-production will begin next year, or shooting will. But thought that was pretty cool. To finally get some more movement on that. So
exactly,
because once The Rock announced it, that's when everybody went crazy.
Well, he announced Black Adam, and then we assumed that he was going to be the villain for SHAZAM, and then
and then nope, not in the movie.
They just big curveball. So it is good to finally get this a little bit more traction. At this point, though, still you kind of look at it as a little bit of a tease, though, because anything can happen with pre-production. They could end up shutting it down, all types of stuff. So let's just hope that, the train gets some a little bit more momentum, and then we can be like, okay, now we have some more solid stuff to go with. All right, SHAZAM is coming out, beautiful. Buy my ticket in advance. Be happy to see it.
That's right. Yeah. So where Marvel's shenanigans are more with their books, there are, for lack of a better way to put it, some shenanigans going on with DCEU world. We've talked about it quite a few times. That there's been plenty of our episodes where we announced something, whether it was a rumor or something that was quote unquote official because it came from a reputable source. Not that we don't get things from reputable sources all the time, but then like a day or two later, it'll be like completely the opposite. And I have a perfect example of that coming up for you. But it's almost like with Warner Brothers, they spend so much time in the idea stage, right? Coming up with ideas and throwing this at the wall and throwing that at the wall, and they forget to take one of those ideas and actually run with it, right? There was, maybe I'll just jump into it now. There was some rumors around the Justice League movie. Today, actually, I was reading about this. One rumor said that Jesse Eisenberg's, it was basically a cameo for Justice League, that it was cut out at the last minute by the director. And then I said, I read probably 2 hours later that another rumor that no, in fact, he's still in there. And he's the one that tells Wonder Woman and Batman how to regenerate Superman. There's like a regeneration chamber in the ship, right? And that same rumor also said, and this sounds pretty cool, that we would get to see Lex Luthor's war suit, the big armored, like purple and green suit. Yep. Yeah. But that would be something to help set up Man of Steel 2. So those two rumors contradict each other. Was it cut? Or see, that's the thing with these things. It's speculation at this point. Like there may have been more than one scene, and one of them was cut, one of them was left in. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say what's true and what's not true. So
yeah, well,
if he's cut though, let me tell you this: I'm okay with that. He was one of a weak movie, in my opinion. He was one of the weakest parts of it for me.
Yeah,
Eisenberg.
He was strange. He was. I want to say like they kind of. He seemed kind of like a little bit like Jim Carrey's Riddler, where he was just like he was a little bit too, comedic, I guess, or comedically, just inclined for an actual movie like that. Like it's just like if you're supposed to be the main villain, Like, why are you, not cracking jokes, but just being really bad comedy and just like, just he was too erratic. Like Lex Luthor's, more calculated, more of a put together guy. It's just like, I don't really see him. I always felt like that Eisenberg was just like rattled the whole time. Like he was just like, just really like he couldn't be around Superman and not like freak out one way or the other, be like extremely angry for no reason, or just be like really fearful of the guy. And it was just like, it was a lot to take in with him. So yeah, he I think was a weak part. So if he's gone, no big loss. Like, I mean, it doesn't make a difference one way or the other.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you guys this, because I didn't buy the Batman versus Superman DVD or Blu-ray.
Yeah,
weren't we supposed to get some kind of explanation behind that, of his erratic behavior and psychopathic type of character?
Yeah, he forgot his Ritalin.
That's just from what I thought that I picked up off the web, that we were going to get some kind of explanation. No?
I've never seen that whole director's cut. I just, to find out that you had to pay money to get the whole director's cut, I'm not doing it. So I'm perfectly fine with seeing the cut of the movie I saw. I didn't like it. I don't want to spend money to see it again. So, right in the trash.
Exactly. So, another rumor. One of them said that, what am I trying to say? Oh, that Jared Leto was cut as well. There was talk with Suicide Squad that they wouldn't be using Harley Quinn. They would be using, what's her name? Killer Frost instead, right? But now they're saying that Leto will be back, as well as Margot Robbie. But that movie is delayed right now. I'm talking about Suicide Squad 2. So that's delayed. But Leto is, and this is interesting, there's going to be supposedly, I'm using the word supposedly, I should start using that now, 2 Joker movies. One of them will be Joker and Harley, which has Leto and Margot Robbie in it, which may come before Suicide Squad 2. But that's going to be by Glenn Ficarra and John Requa. They did This Is Us. It was on NBC. And they also were the ones who wrote I Love You, Philip Morris. And Crazy Stupid Love is another one that they're credited with. So it's said to be a crime story, and sort of like When Harry Met Sally on Ben's a Dream. Yeah, so
if you're looking, I'm just gonna say right now, dud and flop.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a bad movie. Honestly, I see them putting too much into it too soon. I see it being too much of the same type of thing over and over and over again. Just you can skip that one, the Joker Harley movie.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things with DC is they always say like the villains are one of the strong points, right? That's the weakness of Marvel, but one of the strengths with DC, especially in the films. But it almost seems like they know that, and they're starting to lean on that too much.
When have the villains been the strong point in a DC movie? like they throw them away like they're nothing. The only one, I mean, is Harley considered a villain in Suicide Squad, or is she? I mean,
they have, you could consider Harley not really a villain, but kind of like an anti-hero, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
same with like Catwoman and those types of characters. They're not really like straight up heroes. They're in that gray area. I
mean, if you're going back to the Dark Knight and stuff like that, then yeah, okay, I'll give you that. Like their villains were very good in those movies, but ever since then they haven't been good. Like Zod wasn't good. Because I just didn't find him to be any sort of real compelling type, villain. He was what he was. Lex Luthor sucked. The Joker wasn't good. The rest of the Suicide Squad team, the most of that team, if you consider them villains, okay, not too bad. I can give you, but like Enchantress sucked. Whatever her brother was supposed to be was terrible.
That I can't get over those. I'm gonna kick it.
It just like their villains, I don't think are their strong point at all. I think when it comes down to it, it's just they have to have something, because every villain has either been like forgettable or just ridiculous looking. It's just like their villains aren't their strong point. I mean, the strength of the story, the history of the characters, that's their strong point.
Yeah.
So there's another Joker movie in the works, and maybe this is where the confusion was with Leto's not in it, Leto's in it. So there's going to be a solo, basically, Joker movie, which is an origin story.
Yep.
and it's going to have a younger Joker, which makes sense why they wouldn't use Leto for it. It's going to be produced by Martin Scorsese, obviously, Casino, Goodfellas type of guy. Todd Phillips will be direct it. He did The Hangover. And then Scott Silver will be co-writing it with Phillips. And if you don't know him, he did 8 Mile. And this is going to be part of a new banner they're referring to it as. So these movies are going to be standalone movies outside of the the connective tissue for like the mainline DCEU movies, right? Like the Justice League and everything. So kind of like an Elseworlds maybe story. And it's funny, there was something, Brendan Schaub, do you know who he is? He's an MMA fighter, or was. He is really good friends with Todd Phillips' agent. So you're playing a little bit of telephone here, so take it with a grain of salt. But he said that the agent told him that it's a dark movie, and it's about him, Joker, as a kid who had a permanent smile, and just like everybody was like making fun of him and stuff. It's right on the streets of Brooklyn, so it's like grounded, dark, like gritty sort of story. And he said that it's super dark and real.
And that's what I was going to ask you. It sounds like it's going to be a dark film.
Yeah.
One of the things that I'm noticing, James King of Golden State says that DC needs to keep it basic. All the standalone flicks aren't good. I don't know if I'd necessarily agree with that, and the reason being is because I think at this point DC needs to get as creative as possible without getting just too ridiculous. You know what I mean? Now I know they're trying to play catch up with the Marvel and all that stuff, but we talked about the whole Venom standalone movie. I didn't see a problem with Venom being separate from what's going on right now with Sony and joining up with Marvel and doing their whole Spider-Man thing, because Venom is a character that I think can hold his own movie, just like I think Joker, because if anybody, I read the Villains Month that had, it was again lenticular cover that they had with the Joker, and it gave like a Joker origin type story when he was like a kid, and grew up in a real abusive home and stuff like that, and that was very interesting to me. So if they could kind of do something like that with a standalone Joker movie, I think it could be successful. I mean, I don't think that everything has to tie in together, although it's great if you have an agenda further down the road, but I don't think everything needs to tie in together, and that's just my opinion.
No, I agree with that. I mean, I think Marvel's conditioned us at this point to everything has to connect. It has to be like one massive story, and it kind of feels like with this type of thing, I almost want to feel like it's like an innovative decision. You know what I mean? But that's how movies have always been. Just obviously, if it's a franchise, it's different. But it's always since Marvel that they've been really connected like this.
I've been saying it for a long time. Like DC does not need to catch up with Marvel. DC do their own thing, and I agree. I think that standalone movies are the smart thing to do. I think that they should do. I think number one. I mean, the tough thing with this is going to be you have Scorsese involved, you have all those other guys involved. I mean, from the people that are behind the scenes, you would expect a masterpiece to come out of this thing. And I mean, I'm excited to see it just because of the people that are attached on the behind the scenes part of it. So it's just like, let's say the standalone comes out and blows away everything they've ever done, as an actual, collective, cinematic universe. Like, so, I mean, what do you do? Do you go back and I mean, if you're DC, you have to go back, Warner Brothers, you have to go back to the drawing board. All right, look, let's just make our own standalone movies and don't sit there and play games with it. I think that.
Well, I think that's what they did to some extent once Wonder Woman came out and they saw how well it did and the sort of different look and feel of it. They had to go back and be like, okay, let's redraw some of this.
Like, I think that you shouldn't need to have everybody like. Marvel's thing should be connecting. Let them do that. They've figured out how to do it and do it correctly. DC should just be doing standalone movies, and then if you want to have a bunch of them get together for, if you want to have a bunch of them get together for like a Justice League or a big team up movie, you can easily set those up after credit scenes. Boom, like little small teasers that bring people together. That's easy enough. You don't like them wanting to connect everything and be just like Marvel is their downfall every single time. It's like, don't do that. Just do what you need to. But I will disagree with Edwin on Venom. Venom is not standalone. Venom does not have enough.
Oh my god!
Joker's
Here we go.
Hold on. Joker is easy because he's got so much history. Venom is not. Venom has a few stories that you can latch onto, and they're trying to cram them all into one movie. This is going to be a one and done, unless they start making the next movie is like a whole brand new story that hasn't been put in the comics, or is loosely based off of maybe like 19 different appearances throughout his like history. But Venom, I don't see it being bad, but I just don't see it as like, oh, like you can hit your horse list. This is like a 8-9 part series. Like no, this I honestly think is a one and done. Once you have Carnage in it, it's over.
You might be right. I mean, but as long as it's better than Spider-Man 3, I think I'd be fine with it.
Oh, I mean, you're gonna get a better Venom than Spider-Man.
Anything will be better than Spider-Man.
That's easy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the bar ain't high on that one. That's like saying, that's extremely simple. They'd probably put that on for them. Like, all right, look, in the production meeting, like, we're not going to do this. Do you see this? We're not doing this ever again. Make something different.
We're going to throw everybody in the film.
Man.
Wow.
Like, do you know what went wrong with Venom? And I bet you someone raised a hand. Topher Grace? Exactly. We messed up on Eddie Brock. We didn't even get to Venom yet. We screwed it up.
That's great. So with the Joker, like I said, it's part of this new sort of standalone banner. Another one potentially that will be part of it is Batgirl. They're saying that Warner Brothers said that the story, they weren't even going to make it until Joss Whedon came to them and said, hey, I want to make this movie. So they kind of gave them that space to do it. But they're basically saying that it's insignificant to the main line, like the overall story. So they're going to put it over here with the standalone movies. And that will probably mean it's going to be on the back burner for a while.
Right.
But that would be potentially, standalone as well. So
let them flesh it out.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. Let them, if it's on the back burner, that's perfectly fine. If Joss Whedon's attached, perfectly fine. Let them flesh it out. Let them figure out what type of story they want to tell and just do a standalone. Because I think that they're going to need to figure, if they're going to do a standalone with Batgirl, it's going to need to be dark, but they're going to have to figure out a way to not make it as dark as the proposal of what they're going to do with it.
It can't be dark because it's going to be a different demographic that's sort of marketed.
Exactly.
I know it's like Batman and Batman World is dark, but it's Batgirl. You know what I mean?
She almost has to be, I think, a little bit funny. I think she could benefit from a little bit of I think you go like kind of just a strong female route, but like she make a joke here and there. But you keep it like almost like, and this is, I don't know, maybe you can agree or disagree, but almost kind of like how Michelle Pfeiffer was with Catwoman, like how she started out being, really just kind of in the beginning of that movie, she's kind of just doing the whole not damsel in distress, but just like I need a man to save me here and there type thing, and she's like completely like needing a man, and then after she transitions to Catwoman, she's like, I can do this all on my own. I don't need any one of you. And she said, she basically holds her ground against Batman and the Penguin and Max Shrek, which Christopher Walken was just, but she holds her own against everybody. And I think that's where you got to go with it. Just kind of like, she's everyday average woman, kind of not a strong personality, and then just builds up to being something strong that, she can hold her own and you believe that she can actually be a good hero.
We're talking about Batgirl, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Deadpoolica said, just to clarify, Chris, so you think Batgirl's a great idea and Venom is just plain stupid?
I'll tell you why. Look, Batgirl has what, like 60 years of history? Venom has 20, and he's got like 6 or 7 stories, and the rest of them are just appearances in books. You can't build off of that. I'm sorry. Like
what would be cool about Venom is that they talked about the psychological and emotional part of the effects of the symbiote on the mind of the human being. I think that would add a different dynamic to the film. I don't want to go back into Venom, but I thought that Deadpoolica's comment was definitely funny.
Yeah,
I mean, it makes it like I didn't say I think it's stupid. I just think that there's not much you can draw from. But I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean,
150 plus issues that he's done so far.
150 plus issues, yes. But like,
Venom's been around for 30 years. Almost 30 years. Venom's been around for.
All right, but outside of a few miniseries and the stuff that he did with Spiderman, what major storylines has he had that you can be like, oh yeah, like I remember this whole big thing with Venom. Yeah, he doesn't have a lot. Those 150 issues, all right, that he has. What out of those stick out to you that are like huge stories?
I mean, is Ultimate Venom part of that numbering?
No.
Okay.
A lot of people like Agent Venom. Agent Venom has kind of a fan following.
But Agent Venom is not even really. I mean, that's more of a mercenary type deal. That's not the same.
You got
Eddie Brock.
Venom.
If you're including Carnage,
pretty cool.
Mass murder, mass killing is really cool.
But Carnage is not. Carnage is his own entity, though. That's the thing. Like that's what I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
Like you have if you're gonna leave Spider-Man out of it, you don't have much to draw from. Like Venom doesn't have a big bench of characters that are like, oh yeah, like these have been created just for him. Like this is his universe. No,
you have them at first to establish what the direction of the film, but after that, I mean,
and there's tons of symbiotes too. There's like
there's
Toxin.
You got Toxin also.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Toxin will probably be in part 2. That's what I'm telling you. It's just like you're gonna burn through Venom real quick, and it's just like, okay, you have to put him in a Spider-Man movie now because he's got nothing left for himself anymore. Like that's the thing too. You can say all you want, but like it's just like 150 issues versus 60 years of continuity. Like I mean, there's a lot to draw from. Like that just. I mean, she has her own series. She has Detective Comics appearances, Batman appearances. I mean, she's all over the place compared to him. Like he's got not a lot. It's nothing that I think is like bad. I just think that there's not a lot you can draw from with Venom. I think the Venom is a quickly done movie unless you start making up your own stories to go along with it. Don't stick with the comics. Or
they Venomize everybody else except
maybe
Spider-Man, like Venomverse.
I mean, this has been my last thing. There's no way I don't see him going into a Spider-Man movie at some point, just to kind of flesh him out and give him more to do. But I just don't see a big thing with Venom going forward. That's just me.
We'll have to wait and see, and we'll talk about it as the news comes out for sure. Are you guys Titans fans? Teen Titans?
Mm-hmm.
I like the Teen Titans a little bit.
So the Titans, the live-action movie that will be, I think it's 2018. It will air on the new DC streaming service. We're getting some casting news around that finally. So Anna Diop, she's going to be playing Starfire.
Mm-hmm.
And she was on Quantico and 24 Legacy as well. So I don't know too much about her in terms of like acting style, but I like her, physically or appearance-wise for Starfire. I think that's a good choice. And then this afternoon, I think it was like 3 o'clock.
Yep.
It was announced Brenton Thwaites will be playing Nightwing, Dick Grayson, in the show. So there's Starfire, Nightwing, and then last week we didn't get to talk about it because we skipped last week, but Raven was cast as well. It's Tegan Croft. She's a young actress from Australia. But that's 3 of the Titans for the show. So I'm actually looking forward to that. It'll be cool to see a live-action Titans show.
Yeah, that's going to be cool. There's a lot you can do with that. They have a lot that, depending on how far you go, there's a pretty deep roster that you can have. And then, tons of different villains. So I just wonder if there's going to be any crossover from other shows into that. Like, will Deathstroke from Arrow be on that show, or will it be a different Deathstroke? Are they going to recast it? How deep are they going to get into the, Titans run? And are they going to start? I mean, it seems like they're going to start with George Perez and Marv Wolfman run.
It's funny. I was talking to George Perez about that when he was here in Houston a few years ago, and I think every time they do like Titan stuff that's related to anything that he created or did, he still gets royalties on that stuff, man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I know he's pushing this stuff for, all the way. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know that much about the Titans. I like the whole idea. I know it's definitely probably, in my opinion, much more for like a younger audience.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that some of the characters are pretty mature, and it's more of like a self-discovery and how to work as a team and how to, mature and not be so selfish and all this other stuff. So, it could definitely be really good. I like the whole idea. I mean, again, it goes back to DC getting more creative and expanding a little bit. So I'm all for it, man. I mean, look at you're putting out all these superhero films at a level that we've never seen before. And for comic book fans, this is fantastic for us. I mean, what did we get in the 90s? We got like Blade, and that was it.
Yeah.
And maybe a few bootleg type Fantastic Four and Punisher films. But outside of that, man, I mean, this is like a freaking dream if you're a comic book nerd.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so let's move over to Marvel. All right. Talked enough about DC, other than Venom. So I don't know if you guys saw it. I'm sure you did. I'm sure everybody did by now. But we've got a good look at Janet Van Dyne. We got a good look at Wasp in the new costume. What'd you think of it? You like it? You like her in it? What's her name? Evangeline Lilly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I think she looks good in the costume. Actually, no. Is she Janet or is she? Because I think Michelle Pfeiffer is going to be Janet.
Let me find a picture. I'm going to screen share it because
Yeah.
he didn't see it, and
because I want to say that she's supposed to be their daughter. So she's the one. I think she's Hope, in those movies. Hope. I think it's something like that. Hope or some type of weirdo name. I have to watch.
Oh, yeah, she is Hope. She's Janet's daughter.
All right. Yeah, because Michelle Pfeiffer is going to be Janet.
Thing. Yeah.
But I knew what you meant. I knew what you meant when you said that. Yeah, no, she looks good in the costume. You know, Tim thinks she looks good in the costume too. Like he said that. You know.
I think he likes her breastplate the best. Here you go.
He likes her a lot. Just say that.
Present to Erwin. Can you see it? Oh, there it goes.
Yes.
That's a cool looking costume.
Yeah.
I want to see the wings though. Where are the wings at?
I didn't even read the board. I wonder if there's like a Easter egg on there. I don't know. So that's her costume. Some people say it's a little too tight to be practical for, you know, like an armored suit. But I like it. And we haven't seen her helmet yet either, so that's the other thing. You know, she'll have a helmet on at some point. So yeah, there you go. There's your Hope. Let me close that. All right. You guys like it? No wings. Edwin's out. Janet shrunk out of existence. That's right. Okay, there's some funny comments in there. Okay. So Ant-Man and the Wasp will surprise people. I agree. I think it will be good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, cool. So there's that. Next thing we'll talk about, this came out, I think it was, well, that was this week in any case, but the writers from Spider-Man Homecoming are returning for the sequel. So you'll get that similar, you know, in terms of dialogue and everything. So, same feel for it. So if you liked Spider-Man Homecoming 1, you'll like Homecoming 2. If you didn't, you will probably have the same feeling about the sequel as well.
Maybe.
You guys think? Maybe?
I mean,
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it still hasn't become the highest grossing Spider-Man film, but
no,
it's pretty far up there. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people are putting it right below the Doc Ock one, Spidey 2, in terms of, you know, favorites. So that's probably where I'd put it too. I know some people in the comments were talking about it not being the greatest movie, but I actually liked it. Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. It was a fresh take. It was fun, which in terms of Spider-Man movies, that was something that we were missing. They were kind of leaning more on being angsty than fun. And for me, Spider-Man is supposed to be fun. So
yeah.
Speaking of fun, seeing Misty Knight's bionic arm was fun.
Yep.
I don't know if you saw that shot, but that's a clip from season 2 of Netflix's Luke Cage. If you didn't see season 1 of Defenders, it's not really a spoiler. It's something that we all know about Misty Knight. She loses one of her arms and is given her arm. And in the comics, it was given to her by Iron Man.
Yep, Tony Stark.
It was sort of assumed off panel, I think, but he knew who she was and everything. But it'll be interesting to see. Probably come from, I'd say from Rand. from his company development arm or something. I don't know. They have to keep it in house. So Lords of the Long Box said Rand Industries makes cheap bionic arms. Yeah, it does. Yeah, we'll have to
I don't
see.
know. When I saw that, it's funny that I'm always so behind whenever we come on this show, but because of the hurricane, I obviously had a lot of time to do a lot of catching up. But I saw the end of the Defenders and where she gets her arm cut off, and man, that just blew me away. I was, whoops, sorry, spoiler alert. But yeah, she gets her arm cut off. I was like, oh snap! Like I couldn't believe, I didn't see that coming. But then I saw pictures that I don't know if it was you or somebody posted, and then I went and saw her comic book look, and although her arm is gold, it's still bionic. So I think it's cool, man. I mean, what does she become, like a vigilante now and just doesn't even worry about staying on the force?
She has umbrellas and all types of stuff in there, like gadgets.
Like a Swiss Army
Gadget.
So she's like the Inspector Gadget of Marvel.
She has heat-seeking rockets in her forearm. She points it at you and just fire right out.
Really?
No.
So, yeah. I mean, I don't know much about it. I'm just like, you got me like thinking, oh, that's kind of cool. She could do some damage.
Yeah. No, I mean, hopefully it's like with the movies when they do like the early pictures or whatever, the CGI looks a little rushed, like a little rough. I mean, so hopefully they'll brush up on it. They have plenty of time to do it. So that, and then it's cool. Hopefully you'll be getting Heroes for Hire. And then also Daughters of the Dragon, which I see you put in the comments there too. So hopefully those will be coming. And then what was it? They had a company. I don't know what it is, but Misty Knight's quickly becoming one of my favorite of the Netflix characters. I do like her.
I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about her and Colleen Wing had a company.
Yeah. Nightwing Restorations Limited. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's all. Yeah.
I liked her in Luke Cage. She was good. I haven't seen any of the Defenders, so just like Edwin said, I didn't see that coming. Well, now I see the arm coming off. That's good.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's just I
thought it was better than Iron Fist.
Oh God,
I thought it was better than Iron Fist in my opinion.
I mean that makes sense just because Iron Fist. They said everything that was wrong with Iron Fist and how they rushed certain things and how just stuff where it wasn't really panning out the way they had hoped. But from everything I've heard about it, I've heard it was really good. Actually, there's a few different rumors coming out from Marvel and Netflix. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but they're innuendoing that Moon Knight might be in the Punisher series.
Mm-hmm. They're saying that it might be him as part of his team in Vietnam, where we would see him initially. Yeah.
So
that'd be cool.
Does that count to make the book like Werewolf by Night 32 explode, or is this kind of one of those things? I mean, it's already exploded, but
it's already exploded.
That's a big book. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it would be cool to see. It would be cool to see him as Mark Spector before seeing him as Moon Knight. Like that kind of, and that kind of helps get him, a little bit more traction to not have this whole big, huge origin. Just kind of let him be. If he gets his own series, just let him be Moon Knight throughout, and then you can just kind of tell his, story through little short flashbacks, but not anything where you have to have a whole episode to it. You know what I mean? You kind of keep him on that whole schizophrenic mindset that he has.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be good setup there. But hold the presses. We have our fourth member. We have the arm or the leg of our Voltron that we form here. We have Exile State Comics. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Sorry, a little late. Nephew's birthday, so couldn't get out of it.
Nice. Did you get him some comics?
No, man. He wanted cash, man. So
cash. Wow.
There you go. Didn't we all?
Did you have a clown at the party? Was there a clown?
There was no. But I did get an awesome X-23 Funko Pop while we were out. So
for yourself or for your nephew?
Oh, I got it for myself.
Oh wow. Okay.
Happy your birthday, but this is my present.
Well, he doesn't collect those.
You're like, hey, I got this for me, but as your present, you can look at it.
Yeah. You see it's pretty? You don't care. But no, it was a good time. Sorry I'm late. Looks like we got a massive list of topics here. I'm sure you guys have dug through them all here.
We're cruising through. We're in the Marvel section. We were talking about Misty Knight and her go-go gadget arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We only got 3 more hours ago.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that's my thing, though. It's like anybody who's ever seen Misty Knight, you don't even have to have read a book. If you've just seen the character, you knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
It's funny too because you say that I thought she was gonna actually end up losing her arm at the end of I thought she had lost her arm at the end of Luke Cage because she shows up back at the club. She's like maybe she's just got kind of like a little god arm, but it was golden. And I was like, oh, she her mechanical arm, but apparently not. So
no, but I mean, I can totally see them doing that, and I would say that first shot we got, I bet you money her arm is upgraded throughout that season or throughout, because I mean she'll show up in both Iron Fist and Luke Cage, so her arm will probably be different as it goes.
She'll end up like Cyborg,
right? I mean at some point it'll turn in. I would bet money that the end result is going to look similar to Josh Brolin's Cable.
But with a lower budget, right?
Yeah, I mean, but still have that same kind of like,
we need a cable budget. Let's go.
Or what about Winter Soldier arm?
Yeah,
there you go.
I can see
hers. It looks like with hers, they're doing more practical than CGI. So I think that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's like
more
Netflix and smaller budget and stuff, but
right.
I mean, it's still Marvel, so they're gonna want to throw a little bit of money at it to fresh it up. Hopefully, yeah.
And it's Netflix, so they have a little bit more freedom to play around with and play with, how things look and stuff. So
the Walmart upgrade.
That's what I was laughing at.
That's
oh, James.
She starts at Walmart and then like jumps up to like Home Depot.
Right.
Yeah.
Ends up at Radio Shack, maybe.
The Shack. Remember they call themselves the Shack. So I heard this and I was disappointed. With the Fox movies, right? With X-Men, I'm switching gears here. With the X-Men movies, it kind of feels like it's the same sort of like, oh, humans hate us. Let's do that. We have Trask, he hates us. And it felt like with Dark Phoenix, they were finally kind of going in a different direction with it. Like we heard about Shi'ar, we heard of Lalandra, we talked about her,
right.
Jessica Chastain and stuff.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. But Simon Kinberg is saying now that the movie, instead of it being like a cosmic epic, which is really what I wanted, it's going to be more of a personal, grounded story about, I guess, Dark Phoenix kind of dealing with the power and stuff. So I was kind of disappointed to hear that. I was really looking forward to like a space adventure with the X-Men, and we've talked about it too. There's a lot they can do with it with Shi'ar and Mojo and the Brood and all types of stuff. Yeah. But it doesn't seem like they're going in that direction now. So
you'd have so many characters that you could introduce, like the Champion. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Champion looks cool.
Yeah, like that would, or the Guardian. I'm sorry, the Guardian.
The Guardian, yeah, the purple mohawk guy.
Yeah. Like that, like all of those guys, like that would be such like a cash cow for them as far as like now you've got a whole new toy line. You saw how good Guardians of the Galaxy did. Let's take the X-Men to space.
That's right.
But of course, I don't know. I don't even want it to be called X-Men anything. Just call it Dark Phoenix, the Jean Grey story, if you're going to do that.
Just call it Jean Has a Bad Day.
That sounds like a Lifetime movie.
Exactly. That's the thing you just gave me was a Lifetime movie about maybe an X-Men character. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But that's coming out in 2018. Even though I'm not excited about that, I'm excited about the fact that we're getting 3 X franchise movies in 2018. We're getting Dark Phoenix.
Yeah,
we're getting New Mutants, right? And we're also getting Deadpool 2, the sequel. And we're going to talk about that in a second. There's a connector to the next topic there. And I guess we can just jump right into it, right? Ajax was the villain in Deadpool, right? He was played by Ed Skrein. Ed Skrein is going or was supposed to play a character in the Hellboy reboot, Rise of the Blood Queen, I think it's called, right? You had David Harbour in there. I always forget her name. Oh shoot, she was in Resident Evil. Mia Jovovich. Yep. And then Ed Skrein was supposed to play a character named Major Ben Daimyo, who's an Asian character, I believe Japanese. There was a big outcry about them doing whitewashing here. So he made a big announcement on one of his social media pages, and then said he's stepping down from the role. He said clearly, the culture and the race behind the character is very important to some people, and he wants to respect that. So he stepped down from that. So what are your thoughts on that? And then I have a couple other things I want to ask you as well, but let's start with that.
What character was it?
Well, that's very
He's
what was the race of people too?
Asian, and I believe specifically Japanese. Major Ben Daimyo, it was his name, or is his name, the character. Not a major character, if you ask me. I'm not familiar with him, but
that's my thoughts on it. It's like I don't know the character, so I have no clue what he's been drawn or portrayed as previously. So if whoever you cast in it wouldn't have made any difference to me.
Right. And I mean, one of the things that I was thinking was, the sort of race swapping thing has worked. I mean, look at I'm trying to think of something. It was Perry White, Lawrence Fishburne, right? Man of Steel, that worked. Halle Berry and Eartha Kitt both played Catwoman. You had Ben Kingsley as the Mandarin in, was it Iron Man 3?
Yep.
Yeah.
Harvey Dent, right? He was played by
Billy D. Williams.
Billy D. Williams in 1989. You had Blind Al in Deadpool. You had Tilda Swinton in Doctor Strange as the Ancient One. Movie Good or Not, you had Jamie Foxx as Electro. And then, of course, same with Good or Not, but Johnny Storm was Michael B. Jordan. Michael Clark Duncan was Kingpin. And then the big one, Samuel L. Jackson is Nick Fury. And I just see that Lord Tatman put that there.
Also Thor Ragnarok, we have, I can't remember the actress's name. She's playing Valkyrie,
That's right.
That's a race swap. So, I mean,
yeah. And then it happens a lot in the comics, too. I mean, even if the gender, like the Thors and the Spiderman and Captain Marvel and Robin and everything. So it happens quite a bit. But what do you guys think about sort of like, I guess the race or gender swapping of the characters? And I know that some of them, like, it's important to them culturally, or, to the race that they are. It kind of like is their story or their power set or what drives them. But do you think it matters ultimately, or do you think that, like, what are your thoughts on that, I guess?
In certain characters, it makes sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like there's certain ones that I guess you have to stick to it. Like you couldn't really have like Sunfire or Silver Samurai be, a couple of, Puerto Ricans. It's not going to work that way. You could, I mean, but then there's plenty of characters where you can just, you can play with it as much as you want. No one's really going to make a difference. Like, let's say instead of, keeping Domino, right? Domino's, as far as I've always thought, is either a white girl or some type of alien, one or the other. You know what I mean? Because of the way, but like they have a black girl playing Domino. You know what I mean? It doesn't really make a difference. It doesn't matter.
Well, hold on, because I posted a good video about that on Comic Book Fanatics, and I know you have black dominoes, but I think the whole concept behind white domino with and I think that the video that I posted, her look is so distinctive. We're going to throw a black and put a white-ish type of circle around her. I don't know. She doesn't look very distinct. One of the things that I've noticed when it comes to swapping characters with different races is it's mostly with like B-list or background type characters. It's almost never with like the forefront. Like you're not going to see a black Peter Parker unless it's like Miles Morales. But I don't have a problem with it, but I'm starting to see the trend is that it's usually for like background or B or C list type of characters. One of the things I did notice the difference, and I apologize for cutting you off, Chris. name from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Baxter Stockman, a black scientist in the original comic books. I didn't know that because I grew up with the cartoon and he was always white. But when you read the original TMNT, he was actually a black scientist. And so I saw why Kevin Eastman and that whole production team went back versus keeping Baxter Stockman white.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I think about it too, and I agree with that. I think that it's, you know, if it's somebody who's not, you know, a major character, then it shouldn't really affect things, I guess. But, you know, in terms of all of it, I mean, his reasoning for doing it, other than, you know, just the backlash over the internet. I mean, maybe he had, you know, maybe it was a more personal thing to him. He's like, you know what, I don't really want to, you know, whatever number of reasons that he decided to step down, you know. But I mean, in terms of that though, I don't really feel like it was necessarily whitewashing. In terms, I mean, I'm with you guys. I don't really know that character well enough to say one way or the other. Like, I mean, if he's a major villain in the Hellboy universe, then maybe people can make a you know, fuss about it. But like, I mean, do really people really care that much? I mean, is it something that like really, you know, you don't think the guy can pull off the movie correctly? Like, it's different. Like, if you're gonna do something that's gonna clearly ruin a character, and it just wasn't played well, even with the new explanation of why they're, you know, white instead of black, or, you know, Spanish instead of Asian, or whatever it is, it's just like, you know, when you get to that, if they do a bad job, then I can understand being upset, but give it a chance before you start ripping it apart. I mean, you know, like even like when I say, like, I mean, I've been a huge X-Force fan for a long time. So initially when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's not really dumb, no, but I have no problem with what I'm seeing. I mean, who knows what kind of story they're going to tell. And you know, it just is the way it is. Like, you got to give it a chance. If she sucks, okay, so then, you know, I don't think you recast her. I think you just be like, listen, for Deadpool 3, we got to step you up in this direction, or for X-Force, we're going to take you this way, and kind of get the fans behind you, rather than, like, you know, and stay away from what made them angry the first time. You know, I just think that at this point, you know, you got to give stuff like that a chance before you.
But are there really a lot of Domino fans out there? I mean,
probably not.
I know Domino came out the same issue as Deadpool, but I don't think there were like a lot of people like going crazy over Domino.
Yeah, I mean, I like her. I've never been like, oh my god, Domino. I mean, she's a cool character, but, you know,
she was hot back in the day.
Yeah, I think it's just, and I hate to use this, I really do, but it's the SJW crowd just, you know, finding something to complain about, you know, finding something to, you know, rally their sabers on.
My whole mentality is, it's a movie, so it's obviously an alternate universe, another dimension. It's not the same Earth as what we read, so people are going to look different. Who cares? Yeah,
exactly right. King of the Golden State has a good question. How do you guys feel about whitewashing an anime flick, such as Ghost in the Shell or Akira?
I'm actually typing my answer out to him. I'll just say it out loud.
Yeah.
So Ghost in the Shell doesn't bother me because of the fact that it's Android. So it can, I mean, that's interchangeable. That's really simple and easy. Just throw that in there. It could be.
Plus, it's also set in the future.
She was using. She was a Japanese or Asian character, but she was using Caucasian parts. I don't know if you guys remember that way back in the stories, but she was using Caucasian parts.
Yeah,
and it kind of goes to some of the questions about where do you draw the line between, you know, if you're switching all these parts in your body, like where's the line between man and machine? When do you no longer, when do you stop becoming human? You know, like where is that area in there? And kind of those questions with you know, the Caucasian parts on an Asian, you know, human originally helped to blur those lines a little bit and really present that question to you. So I actually liked the casting for her. I thought it was good.
Yeah, like I said, Ghost in the Shell wouldn't bother me that much. However, Akira would be tough because it would be tough to adjust to seeing a bunch of, let's say, white people cast as Kaneda and Tetsuo, and it's just like Kaneda, Tetsuo is just like, yeah, that doesn't really fit. You know, I mean, the names that you know, they don't fit the characters. Same if you had Fist of the North Star and you had, Kenshiro be be Jason Momoa, you'd be like, what the hell? Like, you can't. I mean, it doesn't really fit exactly the role that you want to have. So I can understand certain cases you want to have it more be authentic, but then again, I just think that this character, more or less, like the one in Hellboy, I don't think would have been a big deal. Something like Akira would be tough. But I mean, it's all in how you pull it off. I mean, if instead of being Kaneda, he was Kenny, and instead of Tetsuo, he was Timmy. I mean, it would really be kind of stupid sounding, but hey, you got it there. You have enough explanation to make it work, and if the story follows and it's good, nobody would complain. They just be like, oh, the names are different.
Yeah, that's what they did with Death Note for Netflix. Fucking hated the movie. I thought it was horrible. I'd put up a review about it on my channel. Shameless plug. So I'm not going to dive into details on it. But they changed his name there as well. They changed him from Light Yagami to Light Turner, and then they changed her. I forgot her name. But they changed her to Mia in the show. And there was some complaints there about whitewashing too, but they took it from Japan and put it in Seattle, Anyways, I don't want to get into that too much, but yeah. Well, I mean specifics on Death Note, but yeah, I think he.
Well,
go ahead.
Well, let me say this because I know you don't want to get into it, but I don't know much about Death Note, and I think I can give a really good perspective on it for somebody who. For somebody who isn't familiar with Death Note, when I watched it, we actually watched it last night. I thought it was really good. Now, what does the original anime look like? I have no idea. But for somebody who saw it for the very first time on a Netflix film, I thought it was really good. So that's just me. And I know, Jesse, you're holding it in light to the original anime.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have to go and watch the original anime for me to.
You really have to see it. It's really pretty great. There's about 37 episodes, I think. Definitely check that out. It's pretty different. They both have their own Shinigami, right? And it's different motivation at that point when they both have it. Like they both have their own death god. But I feel like the intellectual duel between L and Light is a lot more intricate, it's a lot more intelligent, and it's a lot more it's just much better done. And I know they only had an hour and 40 minutes to work with the movie, but they just kind of went in and in my opinion just watered it down and made them not the character. And I'm not talking about the race or the gender or anything like that. I'm talking about intellectually they didn't make it the characters in terms of their intellectual prowess or their their motives that they should have taken, and they could have very easily taken from the anime and translated that over without any other sort of complications around it. But in the movie, they just got angry too fast. Like with L, he's like, "Oh, my rule is I never use guns," and quickly you saw half an hour later he had a gun in his hand. They allowed themselves to get really angry and blinded and make stupid decisions really quickly in the movie. And I'm going down a rabbit hole here that I didn't want to go down. But
hey, we're listening. I mean,
I didn't like it. I didn't like it.
My wife. Hey, my wife is right there with you, man, because she's a huge anime fan, and she said it sucked. But going back to the whole whitewashing thing, why do they whitewash everything? I remember talking to people who were serving in Iraq, and I remember hearing a interview from Dave Chappelle when he wanted to throw a race girl in one of his skits and saying that they wanted him to put in somebody more universally appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Me that. And going back to those who served in Iraq or over out in the Middle East, they told me that a lot of those people out there, they know how to speak English. Like English is just one of those universal languages almost. And so I think that when you have those type of whitewashing type of faces, It just appeals. It's really an attempt to appeal to the most people as possible. The original ethnic group or ethnic face that needs to go to a particular story or film. So,
Yep.
Replying to Jackie O's comment here, he said, "Is a live-action Japanese version good?" And I'm telling him it's not bad, but it is much better than this Western adaptation.
Well, I think it just depends on the anime that you're talking about. Like, yes, Ninja Scroll. If you cast a whole bunch of white guys in Ninja Scroll, that would be highly questionable.
Yeah, like Jubei, you can't be, Michael Jai White. That's not going to work.
Right. But then, I mean, if you think about, if you go to like Robotech, that's everybody's got basically an American name. I don't even remember Minmei's last name. I don't know. Maybe she had an Asian last name, but everybody was American.
Rick Hunter. That's the most American name you can come up with.
Rick Hunter. Yeah. Lisa Hayes. Yeah. So it just depends on the anime. So, I mean, a lot of anime, I don't even know if like you would call like most of the characters drawn as like really Asian. Like they're just like kind of a cross between everybody, That's
true, because they got big eyes and everything.
Right. It's not an actual person. Like, come on. So, and then like, especially like future stuff, it shouldn't matter because we're all supposed to blend into the same race later anyway. So cast whoever you want.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's just people getting upset to get upset about crap.
Exactly. That's what it comes down to.
Ain't got time for that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
That's right.
Yeah. So, okay, let's move on. I think we've covered that pretty well. Next thing, I don't know if you guys read Superman. It's one of my favorite Rebirth titles, to be honest with you. I do like it. It's Peter Tomasi writing it. But with issue 31, we're getting a new creative team. So that I think that's interesting. It'll be interesting to see the change there. It's going to be James Bonney writing, and then Tyler Kirkham as the artist. And I don't know if it's 31 and 32 or a two-part story, and I forget the name of it. But the story is essentially Lois Lane doing an exclusive interview with Deathstroke. But you have Tyler Kirkham doing the art on it, the sequential art. So we'll see. Do you guys read Superman? Do you like that title?
I haven't read it in a while. I find it's definitely a weird a weird combination though. So she's going to be doing an exclusive interview with Deathstroke about Superman.
Yeah, be an interview, and I'm sure they'll be like, as he's doing the interview, like whatever story he's telling, they'll action out or panel out whatever the story is, so you see some action. It's not going to be them like in front of a desk just talking back and forth. You know what I mean? So even though it's an interview, they'll work in the action and like flashback type.
I can see that. I'm just thinking. So is he like telling a story how he saw Superman from afar, or is he gonna be like, and I fought Superman, like, but you're still alive, so you couldn't have. He probably just like beat you up, knocked you out, and then put you in jail because you're not lasting too long against Superman.
Yeah.
Specifically. But,
that's no competition.
I stopped reading that around the time that I think I stopped around the time that they had the Super Sons stuff going on.
Way early.
Yeah, that was like
20
February.
issues ago.
Yeah.
Hey, I stuck with Batman. I just didn't want to like. I didn't stick with Superman. I just kind of let it go, and I was like, you know what, Batman, Flash, and Green Lanterns are the ones I want to stick with. So.
Yeah.
I recently dropped Superman, but I've stayed on Action. And I mean, if they're changing the creative team, I'll jump back on and give it a try.
Yeah. I think that'll be a good issue to review. Issue 31. It will be the change there. So I'm sure.
More issues? Okay.
Yeah. A couple more issues. Where are we on? 29 now?
Yeah.
So, 2 more issues.
Well, let me ask you this real quick, because I was actually going to get ready to jump on Superman again. But I really don't want to read all 20 issues, even though I was going to attempt it. What's a good starting point to get back on?
31.
Yeah,
31?
I would wait at this point.
No, because I read 1 through 5 when Rebirth started, but then I dropped it.
It's all been the continuous story since then. So.
Yeah.
Oh, it has.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been enjoying it. I really like the family dynamic take on it. You know, I think it's cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's been good. I've just liked, I don't know, I like action a little bit more for some reason. Plus that, like, you know, sticking with it to 1,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big one. Actually, let's talk about that for a second. We're in phase 2, Rebirth phase 2. It started when Batwoman and Super Sons launched, right? And I think it was February, was it?
Mm-hmm.
That month keeps coming in my head. Anyways, we're leading quickly over to Doomsday Clock, which is in November, right? We're going to have that middle of November. So that's going to be the end of the year. And then early into next year, we should be getting, or not should be, we will be getting Action 1000. And that's supposed to be sort of a changing point with Rebirth as well. Whether it's like a new phase for it, or we finally get the answers we've been waiting for, and we kind of get this like Watchmen DC blended universe, and it's like a new thing forward. But that's going to be a pretty huge, I mean, the event in and of itself of being 1,000 is huge, but in terms of the overall story, that's going to be huge as well. So we're quickly, I think we're going to get in the next couple months here some big answers that we've been waiting for in terms of like the Watchmen DC Rebirth story. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So
Definitely a spectacular cover.
Yeah, one of the covers, I think it will be. Actually, no, it is. It like you move it, it's Rorschach, and you kind of see like the ink blots move.
Mm.
So that'll be cool. But there's another Watchman for you who's showing up. But
that's the one where like it changes from his ink blot to the Trinity symbols.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But next month, not next month, next week, we're going to be talking about just a teaser for you guys, some theories on who Mr. Oz is, because there's some pretty good ones out there. We don't quite know yet. There's some with some validity behind them, some that are pretty wild. But between now and next week, guys, look up some of those so you can kind of like jump into the theory conversation with us. Yeah, we're definitely going to be talking about that on episode 56 next week. So there's a teaser for you. But the other thing I wanted to mention, I think this is pretty cool. Scott Snyder announced for DC Metal, all the money he's being paid for the script writing by DC, he's donating to Harvey Relief and the Red Cross.
I think that was just for Metal number 2, right?
Metal number 2, correct. Yeah.
That's still cool, though. I mean,
that's nice.
Yeah,
I haven't looked at the numbers yet. What number 1 sold, but you got to figure number 2 might not be far behind.
Oh yeah, I think it'll do really well.
Has it already come out?
No,
not yet.
No,
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
This will help generate sales too, because just you know you're doing a good thing by buying it. So
Yeah, has Metal number 1 been good? Because I don't know. I haven't read it yet.
actually, Undisputed Frost has 2 videos to let you know.
Yeah,
I know.
depends on who you ask.
but what? Well, what about you guys? Have you guys read it yet?
No, I went by Frost review, and I was like, you know what? Actually, no, that's not true. That's partially true, but like I went and I checked it out in my shop, and I wasn't really feeling the art, so I was just like, I'm not gonna buy into this. So I just left it on the shelf.
Yeah,
Capullo did the art though, right?
No, I think there's a couple of different people did the art on that one, but it didn't look good. Like it really just. I don't know if they rushed it or what, but it just that first issue didn't come across all that good to me.
Okay.
I wasn't really enjoying it at all.
Okay.
but it's Batman.
Yeah, but you know,
I want to like it. I like the concept behind it.
Yeah.
Love Scott Snyder's work and everything. Capullo too, for that matter. But I feel like, kind of like with Nick Spencer with Secret Empire, like. The scope and the scale of the story that they're trying to tell, I feel like both of these guys, Snyder and Spencer, are in over their heads. Like these are stories that not many people can do. You have like the Jonathan Hickmans of the world and stuff that are really good at this, but these guys are more for like the grounded, tighter knit stories. Rebirth, not Rebirth. Metal is like. Not only like the world, it's the entire universe, and then the other side of the universe. So it's, I don't know. I feel like he's in over his head a little bit there, and it was a little uneven for me. Very, very heavy in exposition.
Right.
A lot of writing, a lot of explaining, and I kept finding myself thinking, and I've said this before, get to the point, right?
Okay.
Like you keep saying what's coming, you keep going, it's coming, it's coming. It's like, okay, tell us already.
Well, the reason why I asked is because do you guys think people are going to continue to pick it up?
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, I mean, I think people are gonna be into the hype of the team, and even if they didn't like the first one, except for Frost, they'll probably give the next couple a try.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't know. I mean, I know for me, I'm not picking it up. That's just my own personal. Like, I just don't see. And maybe I'll pick it up in trade, but I'm not gonna buy the single issues. I don't really care.
I want to see the evil Batman in action.
Yeah. Joker Batman or whatever.
Yeah, and the one that looks like the Hellblazer, the Cenobite.
Yeah.
Like with the thing.
Is this ongoing or limited?
Limited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's an event. It's an event.
Okay.
That's why I like how DC's doing like little mini events here and there, you know? Like way better than Marvel's like epic event. So I guess though technically Rebirth is an event, so it's a mini event inside a bigger event. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm excited for. I mean, especially what they're doing with like the nth metal. Like they're finally doing something with it and gonna like kind of reconcile that whole history. So I think that's cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna check it out. You know.
Yeah.
I like it's simple. The ordering program's simple. You know, with the lenticulars, it's simple. You know, it's basically for the shops. Order all you want. You know, for us, it's $1 more if you want the shiny cover. I'm talking about some of the others. I don't think that the metal has the shiny covers. They have different variants, but I like buying the DC books a lot more these days than the Marvel.
It depends. For me, yeah. You know,
I'm generalizing, but yeah.
No, you're right though, because I've noticed that even with my collection and everything, it's just, you know, there's a few Marvel books that I buy, and the rest is either indie or, you know, my few DCs that I buy. So it's just, you know, I mean, if I was to put, I guess my favorite series in Marvel up against my favorite in DC, DC would come out on top. I mean, that's the truth. Like you know, I really do think that you know, Batman is a lot stronger title than what Marvel's been putting out. So, I mean, the whole way through the entire year since they started Rebirth. You know, same with Green Lanterns. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, those are just really solid books, and it's just like, you know, Marvel has the moments of, you know, a story or an arc or a title will get good for a little bit, and then kind of taper off, but then get back to being good. So it's almost like they yo-yo you. So it's like, I might be dropping this book this week, and all of a sudden they give you something else like, oh, this is really good. All right, I'm going to stick with it. You know, I can just think of like two titles that stuck out to me as good. I mean, that really piqued my interest was Unworthy Thor and the Thanos series. I mean, both of those were done really well, especially in the beginning, really, really well. But Batman, like I said, has been solid from issue 1 all the way up to the last issue that came out. So, I mean, DC, I think, has a tighter and better writing core than Marvel has right now. I think that Marvel is too focused on switching teams and just kind of changing things up just for the sake of, you know, being all new and all different. And I think that they kind of have to just hammer down a couple of teams, let them stay together, and really like create some good stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So, Justin, Edwin, for understandable reasons, wasn't able to get his books yesterday. Did you read? I mean, you picked up your books, right? You went to the shop.
Yeah.
Right. Anything that you read yet that you want to talk about? Like any type of, you know, if you want to do like a quick review of it, or, you know, let people know, pick this up or skip this one, you know.
I haven't really read through too much.
Okay, that's fine.
There was one, I did read one book just because, and I picked this up. This is out of Titan Comics. This came out like a week or two ago. I had to order it because my shop didn't get any. but it's like I said, out of Titan. It's Hercules: Wrath of the Heavens. Pretty sweet looking book. I got it mainly because the cover's done by Walt Simonson.
Nice.
So, Thor throw in there. He was doing a Hercules book. But let me show y'all something in this. I mean, it's Hercules in space. It's like sci-fi future Hercules, but it looks pretty cool. And the story's not that bad. Like, if you're looking for a non-Big Two book with really good art, and you got sci-fi and mythology in the same book, like this may be something right up your alley.
That's cool.
And
Is it? Can you show another page? Is it sort of monochromatic like that, or is that just that one page?
I'm throwing up some more.
Okay, so okay, it was just that one page.
Yeah. It changes. They go from being in space to on a ship to another planet, and like it's all over the place. But it looks really, really good. So I was really impressed with it. It is a very expensive book, and it is very thick, though. It is a $6 comic book.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So is it a one shot?
No, it's an ongoing.
Oh wow, $6 for our ongoing.
Well, I don't think they're all going to be this thick, though. I mean, this feels like a double-sized issue. It's really thick. It's on
Prestige
super nice
format.
stock paper.
Yeah. Is it square bound?
No. It's normal. But I mean, it's just a super thick book.
I'm gonna have to look for that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, there's several different covers, but cover A is the Walt Simonson cover for this book.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that one flew under the radar for me.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
But I mean, other than that, it was a pretty light week for me. I think of new books, I only picked up 4 or 5, really. And then I got some back issues and things like that. I think my favorite cover, though, is Robotech.
Hey.
I got Lisa Hayes with my girl.
There you go. Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, I got it was a light week for I think most people. Other than like Jay, Philly Superman, he probably bought like the entire catalog of previews. But Trinity's here. What's going on, buddy?
Trinity.
Light week. I did get the Dark Side special. I liked it. I saw King of the Golden State said he didn't like it too much. I did a review of it. Another shameless plug there. It's up on the channel if you want to check that out. But I did like it. I liked just the fact that it was, a Kirby-ish story. Took place in Apocalypse. There's a girl, Michaela, who works in like the kiln. Like one of the iron forges on Apocalypse, and they kind of have a revolt. Her and a couple of her friends basically want to go find Darkseid and kill him or expose him to the rest of the planet. So pretty cool. And there's some good backup stories from some of his previous work.
Yeah, you get a Kirby story at the end with art and everything. I don't know which one. Do you happen to know which book it was that they put in there?
There was OMAC, and then there was a couple. I think one of them was from Forever People. Yeah. But I liked it. $5 book, $4.99. But like the one that Justin showed, it had like a thicker cardstock paperweight for the cover, glossy. It felt quality. A lot of stories in it. So there was the main one, the OMAC, and then 3 backup stories. So you get 5 different stories in the one book. So I liked it. But let's talk about Kirby for a minute, right? Kirby month.
Yeah. What was it? He would have been 100 years old if he was here today, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100 years old.
Man,
1917 he was born.
Wow.
Yeah.
If he was still around, man, I mean, the whole landscape of the whole Marvel, cinematic universe would be so different. Actually, I think DC too. I mean, certain things, whether it's characters that he created, it would be a little different, and I think that he would have a lot more influence on what get put out there. As far as like rights and everything are concerned, like it would be it'd be a little bit of a mess, and I don't know if we'd be able to have some of the movies that we've had put out because of how much he contributed to comics. I mean, when you look at everything he had his hands in, just with I think it's the True Believers, they've been doing just Kirby stuff, and just like, I mean, he had his hand in so many titles, and just Marvel, and then DC. It just, I mean, like, I don't know that any other artist would be able to handle the amount of work that he did, you know, for the amount of time that he did it, and just, you know, everything that went along with it. I mean, creating his own characters, you know, handling, like, I think one time he was doing, I think almost all the Marvel books. I want to say in like the 60s, I think he handled most of them. So it's pretty tough to figure out, you know, that he would do, you know, 4 or 5 books, you know, during a month period to get out to the next month. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, using that that Marvel house style definitely helped kind of move the production along. But I remember a while back we were talking about you know, Thanos being inspired by Darkseid.
Yep.
So if you think about it, like with the 2 cinematic universes, you have obviously Steppenwolf, but as the general, right, the commander coming up, but Darkseid's the big bad behind him for the DC side, and then you have Thanos on the MCU side. So these massive billion-dollar franchises, both of them are kind of like, you know, the overall story there is based on Kirby characters, which I think is pretty cool. Yep. There was an interview with Jim Starlin, and he finally said yes. It was admitted. It was Thanos was inspired by Darkseid, right? But he initially he had drawn a character. He was like in a class or something, and he had drawn a character, and it actually was a smaller character in a chair that looked more like Metron, which was one of the other New Gods. He brought it to Roy Thomas, and Roy Thomas was like, "Now you got to make this guy like more imposing, beef him up, and if you're going to steal one of Kirby's characters, at least steal one of the good ones. Like make him look more like Darkseid." So that's why he beefed it up. So if you combine Metron and Darkseid, there's your Thanos.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't like a huge. I mean, Kirby was before my time. I see why people have a lot of respect for him. I mean, they say the guy was doing like 3 pages a day. I mean, now on average, I think an artist is about 1 page a day. So the guy definitely knew the routine and the method was just to get stuff out quick. He wasn't very detailed, in my opinion, because had he been, he probably would have only done 1 or 2 pages a day. But what he's done, and he's definitely put his stamp on this industry at a level that I don't think anybody has yet to do. The guy is just a legend, man. And I've actually looked for pieces of his art on eBay, and I think I would even try to attempt to buy something, nothing like major that he did, but just to have something that he did, man, because this guy is just such a legend. I've even looked at Eric Larson. Eric Larson, in my opinion, mimics a lot of his art style off of the big fist and the upfront, you know, type of shots and stuff like that. But I tell you, man, I think today, if he was alive today, I mean, the only thing I think he'd be doing would just be like signings, and that's if you could convince him. He'd probably be doing like signings with Stan Lee. You know what I'm saying? So
I don't think so.
Stan Lee next to each other signing books for people, that'd be awesome.
No, you know why? Because
I didn't know how long that line is.
Honestly, like there's a lot of I mean, I know a lot of it has to do with, you know, his passing and his family not getting the royalties and everything, but you know, I think even together when they were still together, he would, you know, they had some disagreements that just I guess were irreconcilable, and they were just like, dude, I'm you know, Kirby kind of took up and it was like, I'm done, I can't deal with you anymore. So you know, you would never see, I think, if he was alive today, I don't think you'd see Kirby and Stan Lee at a panel together or anything like that. Like, oh,
it was that bad?
Yeah, I think it got that ugly between those two.
They had a falling out over him getting proper recognition and representation for the work and the contribution that he was doing.
Yeah.
So then Marvel came. I think it was in like 1970. They're like, oh, it's time to renew his contract. So they basically shafted him on his salary and what he'd be paid per page. So he said, nope, see ya. And that's when he went over to DC.
I think also it had something to do too with because Stan Lee had bigger visions than what Kirby had. So I think it came down to Stan Lee had seen movie rights and TV show rights and all the rest of it for these characters, and knew that, you know, if he was to not wrestle away some of the creative control that he had, that, you know, all that money would go to Jack Kirby. And Jack Kirby, you know, Kirby being who he was, which is just an artist, he just wanted to, you know, just create and do that. He wasn't a businessman. So you know, he probably would have turned down all that type of stuff and be like, I don't care about making movies about these characters. I just want to do these comics. So I mean, honestly, it all came down to money, and it got really bitter. So it's just like, you wouldn't see those two together again, which is sad, and it is a shame that, like, you know, yeah, I mean, because those two guys helped shape the Marvel universe, and you know, unfortunately, you know, there's just no way to there was no. It's sad that's Kirby's legacy, because you know, he's created so many different characters, and just based on everything that's out in theirs, and then things that were proposed, and like, his family should be beyond rich, but they're not.
Yeah.
They struggle because of the fact that, you know, Stan pretty much, you know, put the knife in his back, and was just like, dude, no, like,
it was pretty short-sighted too, to not kind of develop. Like, even after that, like, he had all these characters that he had made that he could have done something with, kind of like on a more long-term basis, but he didn't. He did like a quick buck, so he actually sold all those characters to Topps Comics, and that's where you got your Bombast and your the other ones.
Yeah,
you remember the Kirby Chrome and stuff?
Yeah,
those are characters. Even though it was like early '90s, those are characters. He was super old at that point. Well, not super old. He was like, I guess, late 60s, early 70s by that point.
Yeah.
But
what happened was, I think too, like, you say, oh, he took a quick buck, because he was struggling bad. So it was like, he didn't have a like, even though, like you say, yeah, he should have done this. He probably, honestly, when he took those characters over, they probably did a similar type deal as Stan did, which is like, yeah, we'll just take it for this much money. He's probably, I have no choice. I got to feed my, you know, I have to be able to live. So yeah, I'll take it. Meanwhile, had he been a little bit better off, he probably could have been like, no, I'm going to do this with them. I'm going to actually provide a legacy for my family based off what I've done. So, you know, Kirby, and the thing that you said, Edwin, how you were saying, like, you know, he's like, no other person can, like, match, no other person to this point has matched what he's done. No one ever will. Like, I mean, because you'll never have anybody that has to work that hard ever again. You know, no one's gonna have to do all that, do that many books, you know, for what he did it for. You know, to really build a company like that. Like, no one will, just because it's all about, you know. Now, I mean, think of the most superstar artists you can find, like someone like J. Scott Campbell, who only does covers. I mean, you're not going to see somebody doing, you know, full books from cover to cover, you know, all like Kirby really was a rare talent, and really he doesn't it's funny how some people are like, oh yeah, he's all right. No, he like, when you really break down what he did, I mean, think of how much more he could have done if he had a later schedule. Like, you know, I mean, if he was around today, I mean, you know, with his style and what he was doing, and I mean, he could have been drawn forever. Just, I mean, that man put all his blood, sweat, and tears into the time that he was there, and just, you know, just did so many books. It's kind of amazing if you look back and look at all the Kirby collected editions and stuff like that. There's a ton of books. Like, he's done, like, probably close to, I would say, about 1,000 different comics over his time, like different issues over time. Like he really was a workhorse and a half.
I just put the there, and then I'm just
absolutely. All right, guys, let's go around and do some shout outs, final thoughts, plugs, all that good stuff. So we're getting a little on here at the time. So let's start with Chris.
All right. Well, I want to shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you all for coming out. Thanks for you know, having some fun with the comments, talking back and forth with us. You know, it was great to be back. Great to, you know, be back on the show. You know, that break that we took. You know, even coming in on Tuesday, just being like, kind of like, oh, like, it's Tuesday, but there's no show. You know, it felt a little different, but, you know, it's good to be back. I'm glad you guys all came out to join us. I will be putting up probably one more video, or 1 or 2 more videos of just stuff I picked up over this last weekend. I'm gonna try to get that up over the weekend, just because I have a little bit more stuff that I have to do for work and everything. It's gonna be a busy Friday, but you know, just stay tuned. I have some stuff coming up, and you know, again, thanks for watching, and join us again next week.
Awesome. All right, let's go over to who wants to go next. Let's go with Justin.
Okay. Hey, thanks everybody for coming by and stopping by on our first Thursday night show. That was sorry I was late, but we made it. You know, shout out to everybody in the chat. It's been going like crazy since I've been watching it. A lot of good stuff going on, especially like, you know, enjoy this lighter week. Maybe try to get caught up on some books that you got sitting in a long box staring at you.
Yeah,
I know I'm guilty of that. Just
go ahead and read some books, and then when in doubt, buy a back issue.
Voltron.
Yeah.
Voltron versus Power Rangers. Who wins?
Yeah, you went old school.
Oh, that's a good question. All right, let's go over to Mr.
Just want to thank everybody for watching, and don't really have much to say, but thanks for checking us out on this new Thursday. Hopefully it goes well, and to just check everybody out on their channel. Shout out to everybody on the panel. Shout out to everybody else on the chat. It was pretty busy, and enjoy reading your comics this week, everybody. That's it.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so glad to be here on Thursdays, on the other side of Wednesday from where we were. So a little bit of a different feel. It was kind of funny. We were talking about it earlier in the week. It was a little bit weird not having something to do Tuesday night, Yeah. But I like the spot. I like what we can do with it. Definitely want to more in the future, if we pick up the books Wednesday, maybe pick 1 or 2 to just go over a little bit, brief sort of review of it for the folks. I think that's a good opportunity we have there. So we have that. Force Friday's coming up. Looking forward to that. And, of course, the holiday is coming up. Hope you guys have some good plans for that. I do want to say thank you to everybody for coming over with us, to making the journey over to Thursday, over to Thursday, the worthiest show here on YouTube. And hope you'll join us again next Thursday as well for episode 56, where we will be talking about theories around Mr. Oz. So stay tuned for that. That's it, guys. This has been Comic Conversation, episode 55. See you next week.
Have a good one.